Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a chunky crochet infinity scarf. The free written pattern can be found on my website at julesandjones.com, and you can find a link for that in the description box below. Let's get started. The materials that you're going to need to make this scarf is you're going to need 2 different colors of a number 5 bulky weight yarn. I'm using Align brand Hue Plus Me yarn in the color Salt, which is this color, as well as the color Desert, which is a light pink. You're also going to need a 9.0 millimeter crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a darn needle. Let's get started with our pattern. Alright, so to start our pattern, we need to chain 120, but first we have to make a slip knot. So go ahead and grab your yarn and wrap it over your finger twice. Then take the back piece and push it over the front piece, then take the front piece and push it over the back piece and over your finger. Then pull tight, grab your crochet hook, insert it into that loop, and pull tight one more time. Alright, so now we have our slip knot. So now we need to chain 120. So to chain, just yarn over and pull through that first loop. And that's your first chain. Now continue to do this until you have 120 total. Alright, once you've made your 120 chains, we want to go ahead and make a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. For a single crochet, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through one more time, and that's a single crochet. Now you want to go ahead and make another single crochet in the following chain. Okay, and so now this is where our repeats start for our row 1. So we want to go ahead and chain 1. We're going to skip the next chain and make a single crochet in the following chain. Okay, and that's the repeat. So you just want to chain 1, skip the next chain, and make a single crochet in the following chain. All right, and so it should look like this. Now you want to just continue to repeat that until the end of the row, until your last chain. So I'm going to go and get to it, and then I will meet you right back here. Alright, so I'm here at my last chain, and so all we have to do is make a single crochet, but we also need to change colors because in the pattern it states that row 2 you need to change to the color Desert. So we're going to start with an uncompleted single crochet, and then to finish off the single crochet we're going to bring in our second color, which I have right here. Okay, so make sure you have that ready. Alright, so we're going to go in to make a single crochet, so insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, and so instead of yarning over one more time, this is where we are going to bring in our second color. Okay, and so I have my loose end of my yarn, the tail end, on my right side, and the yarn that's attached to the ball on the right side. Okay, and then just wrap it around that hook and then go in to close that single crochet. So it should look like this. Okay, so now we can go ahead and grab our scissors and go ahead and cut the salt yarn, okay, the white yarn. So go ahead and snip it. And so now we're ready to start row 2. All right, so now we're going to start our row 2. For row 2, we want to go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then go ahead and turn your work. Okay, and then I'm just going to push these yarn pieces to the side. And so for row 2, we are going to be making cluster stitches. Okay, and so row 2 is also going to be a pattern repeat. So we're first going to skip our first 2 stitches, which are our single crochet from the previous row. So 1, 2, and we're going to make our double crochet cluster stitch in the chain space. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain space, yarn over and pull through, and you want to pull it until it's about the length of our chain. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Then you want to yarn over again and pull through the first 2 loops for a double crochet. Okay, so you should have 2 loops on your hook. Now we want to make 3 more double crochets for a total of 4, and we're also going to have 5 loops on our hook. All right, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook into that chain space, yarn over, pull through, and pull it up a little bit, okay? And then yarn over, pull through those last 2 loops. Okay, so you should have 3 loops now. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the chain space, yarn over, and pull it up a little bit. and then yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. So now you should have 4 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 double crochet. So we have 1 more left. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into that chain space, yarn over, pull through, raise it up a little bit, and then yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. All right, so now we should have 4 double crochets and 5 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so now all we have to do is just close our cluster stitch. So we're just going to yarn over, pull through those 5 loops, and then chain 1. So now you have a completed cluster stitch. So now this is actually where our pattern repeat starts for row 2. So all we want to do is skip the next stitch, which is a single crochet from the previous row, and make a cluster stitch in the chain space. Okay, and you might have to feel it with your fingers, okay, but it should be right here. So this is my single crochet from the previous row, and that's that chain space. So yarn over, insert your hook into that chain space, yarn over and pull through, and make sure you pull it a little bit for the first one so it's the same height as the other one, and then yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. Okay, so just continue to do that until you have 4 double crochets. All right, I have my 4 double crochets here, and I should have 5 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just yarn over and pull through, and then chain 1 to close it. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Now just continue to do that little repeat until the end of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and get to it, and then I will meet you right back here. Alright, so I just finished my last cluster stitch in my chain space, and so you should have something that looks like this now. Alright, so now we just need to make 1 more double crochet to end our row. So we're going to skip the next stitch, which is a single crochet from the previous row, and make a double crochet in that last stitch. We also need to change colors though for our pattern. Okay, so we're going to change back to the color Salt. So we're going to do just like we did with the other row. We're just going to yarn over, skip this stitch, insert it into that last stitch, and go ahead and make your uncompleted half double crochet. Okay, and then grab your Salt color, wrap it around your finger. Okay, make sure your tail end is on the right hand side, and then your working yarn is on the left hand side, and then just put it over your hook and pull through to complete that double crochet. All right, so now we're ready to start row 3. Okay, so for row 3, we want to chain 1, make sure you've cut the yarn from the previous row, and we're going to turn our work. All right, make sure you have your yarn ready. And then we are going to make 1 single crochet in the first stitch. And this can always be tightened up, okay, by just pulling that yarn, because I know it looks a little loose right now, but once you've worked in all your ends, it should tighten up. So we're going to go ahead and make a single crochet in that double crochet from the previous row. Okay, and then we're going to make another single crochet in between that single crochet and the cluster stitch. So if you just pull it apart slightly, that's where you're going to make the single crochet in that space. All right, and so now this is where our pattern repeat starts for row 3. So we are simply going to be just chaining 1 and single crocheting in between the cluster stitches. So if you pull it apart slightly, just like that, you'll see that space, and that's where you want to make that single crochet. Okay, so chain 1, pull it apart slightly, the 2 cluster stitches, and make that single crochet. So it should look like this. Now you just want to continue to do that until your last cluster stitch. Okay, so just chain 1 and make a single crochet in between those stitches. All right, I'm going to continue to do this until I get to the end. All right, so I just finished my single crochet in between my cluster stitches. So now we need to finish off the row. So we are going to be chaining 1, make 1 single crochet after the cluster stitch, and then make another single crochet in the 3rd turning chain. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to make an uncompleted one just because I need to switch colors. So, but I do want to go over the next part of the pattern. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be repeating row 2 and row 3 until you get to row 11. So your row 11 will just be a repeat of row 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get to it, and then I will meet you right back here when I've completed my finished rows. Alright, so I just finished all my rows and I went ahead and weaved in my ends. Okay, so just make sure you do that part for our next step. So in order to turn our scarf into an infinity scarf, we need to close the sides together. So I went ahead and lined up my scarf. Okay, so I have my two pieces together. Alright, and make sure you have the right side facing you on both sides. All right, and so we are going to be slip stitching our two sides together. Now you can either slip stitch it or you can also do the whip stitch method. I prefer the slip stitch method just because I really liked how it looked. But if you're looking for a more seamless, clean look, I would recommend the whip stitch method. Okay, so to slip stitch it, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our color white, so the color salt, and we're going to go ahead and insert our crochet hook into the edge, the very edge of our scarf. Okay, so one side of the panel. So go ahead and stick it in. Okay, so it looks like that. All right, go ahead and stick it in the other side. So now you have both sides on your hook. Then you want to go ahead and grab your yarn, and we're just going to wrap it over the hook, just like that. Okay, and we're going to pull it through. All right, and then make sure the other side is quite long so you can work it in. And then we're going to grab that yarn end, wrap it over, and pull it through. Okay, and so now we're just going to slip stitch on this whole side. So you want to go ahead and insert it into that next part on your scarf. Okay, so the very edge, insert it to the other side, and then you're basically just yarning over and pulling through for a slip stitch. Okay, so if you guys can see that, that's how it should look. Okay, so just insert your hook into the very edge, and this part does not have to be precise. Just make sure you at least get it in one time within each of those spaces. Okay, and then just pull it through for a slip stitch. All right, okay, so I'm just gonna continue to do this until the end of the row. Okay, so I just finished working my last slip stitch, and you should have something that looks like this now. Okay, you're going to see a very defined row right here, okay, of slip stitches. So now what I like to do is, and you can be done after this part, but I wanted my front and back side to look the same. So I'm going to turn my scarf around and I'm going to work slip stitches on the opposite side as well. Okay, so on this side, so both sides match. Okay, and so what I did was I just chained one, and I'm just going to turn my scarf. Okay, so I'm on this side now, and I just worked those slip stitches again. Okay, so I just grabbed one of my holes again that I have here, and I just inserted my hook, and I just created slip stitches all the way around again. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to do this part until I get to the end. Alright, I just finished my last slip stitch and I went ahead and cut my yarn, so now I'm just going to yarn over and pull it through, and then I will work in those two ends, but now you have a really nice smooth finish. Okay, so I really like this, but like I said, if you don't, if you want a more seamless look, then you can always do the whip stitch method. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and work in these two tail ends. Alright everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope it was helpful in making this crochet infinity scarf. Don't forget, you can always go to my website at julesandjones.com to find all the pattern notes and directions. It'll be in the link in the description box below. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!